So I started my observational drawing with an artist research, and I researched the work of Heather Hansen, who uses dancing and different body movements to create her art. I then looked at traditional and non-traditional drawing methods and the benefits and cons of each. I then looked at a non-traditional drawing method in more detail. This was ink and stick drawing. I also did some left-hand drawing, which I found really interesting, so you can create some really different marks and textures. These are some blind contour drawings as well. Some more sketches there. I then went on to look at some of the artists that I did techniques of before, so I looked at these two here. I also looked at a disabled artist who uses his feet, and his mouth to draw, and I did some of my own using that technique and came out with some interesting results. I also did some more in-depth artist research of some different still life artists and observational artists. I then went on to use the photocopier. So in class we did a drawing where everyone contributed to one drawing, and then I used this to sort of create some more wacky designs using the photocopier by layering up the image on that. And I've also sectioned off a bit that I think was really successful and could maybe be taken forward into another image or media. In class we then drew pieces of popcorn. I found this quite a challenge because it was such a small item and you had to get such fine detail in it. I'm quite pleased with the result because it almost doesn't look like popcorn, which makes it more interesting. There's some more observational drawings using different techniques. We also, in our life drawing, we did drawings of people moving. So this creates sort of like a continuous line of figures that all look like they're moving across the page. There's some more observational drawing. We also drew animals and insects that were moving from videos. This was really difficult to try and get the shapes down that you wanted, and some of them ended up looking quite scribbly or a bit abstract. But they do create some interesting lines and it forces you to draw really quickly. So the next technique that I looked at was drawing using coffee. I really like how this came out and the way that you could layer up the coffee to create some darker tones and how it sort of goes a bit shiny where you've put some on. And I also researched an artist for this. Then we moved on to our organic forms part of the project, so our independent part, and I did a mind map of all the things that I could look at when studying organic forms. I then wrote a little bit about why I've chosen it and some drawings as well. From my subject of organic forms, I then went on to do some studies of some fruit and made a Pinterest board of some images that I thought were interesting on that theme. I then went and took some primary research of different photographs that I could work from for my final pieces and wrote about what I liked about them and if I would use them or not. I also wrote about what kind of media I think would work well with them. Here I've sectioned off one of my favourite images so that it's just focused on the most interesting bit, and then I took that forward and worked in oil pastel as I thought that would work the best for it. So here is some of my experiments of things I could do for my final piece to see what would work and see what I liked. Here's some more primary research of photographs that I took. I went to my local garden centre to take some photos of flowers and plants and fruit and veg and stuff like that, to try and get some really good primary research of different things. For my first final piece, I chose to do a study of some tree bark that I did in my first primary research, and I think this has been quite successful. I really like how I've got the depth of colour from the oil pastels and some of the texture in it as well. My next final piece was done using biro pen, and I did this from a photo that I took of my second primary research. And my last final piece is done with fine liner pen of another photo that I took.